It's Mozz, it's Chaz, and we're talking about Jessica Jones, a.k.a. You're a Winner! Hello, loyal listeners. Once again, welcome to the a.k.a. JonesCast. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the Patsy to my Jessica, my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey, Mozz, so glad to have you. As we said, tonight's episode is a.k.a. You're a Winner. Season 1, Episode 6, directed by Steven Surgic, of course, created by Melissa Rosenberg, and written by Edward Ricourt and Jenna Reback, once again, as our staff writer. Okay, Luke hires Jessica to help him find someone who may have skipped town, but she fears he'll learn too much about her history in the process. Okay, let's see here. Now let's start with our opening scene. That was pretty dark.
Where did it open?
We opened in the underground poker
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Oh, it is certainly a beautiful and diabolical scene, where we get to see Kilgrave take a bunch of rich gamblers for all their money. And I do think they made it so you did not feel bad for these guys.
No.
It
seemed like they brought like $250,000 or so each for a poker game,
Oh, yeah. Well, and clearly these guys are regular poker players. And, if you're a regular poker player, you do sometimes leave without your stake.
Yeah.
That is the truth of it. Now, of course, these gentlemen had no way to say no. But, you know what? Guys who are in an underground poker game at 2 a.m, maybe, quite frankly, aren't guys that we're going to say no anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
But even if they were going to lose the money, which, half of them walk in there thinking, okay, I'm comfortable losing this amount. But what I am expecting is a night of fun, a good time, playing some high-stakes poker. But right on the first hand, he robs them of all of even that.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, as he tells them, you guys are going to have dinner conversations about this for years. The day you lost $250,000 to the worst hand you'd ever seen. And, for what it's worth, I'll say it, it's an interesting story. And
yeah, I don't know if I would be retelling that story too often.
Well, truth be told, yeah, because people are probably going to think you're a little crazy and justifying your own madness, or your own gambling addiction.
Yeah.
But you know what? For what it's worth... No. What were you going to say?
I said, oh, no, those are fun times,
Yeah. Well,
losing that much.
Yeah. Well, what I'll say is that, I can imagine that maybe some of those guys decided not to go back to gambling, which may wind up to be, at the end of the day, better for them and their lives,
That's true.
Much like our bus driver at the end, sometimes tragedy can lead to, some sort of redemption. At least that's always the hope. So that's our opening scene. Of course, Kilgrave, a gentleman tries to stop him. And that gentleman, of course, then is asked to put his head through a beam. And this is something that's going to come back later. This thing that, Kilgrave tells you to do something. You're literally going to try to do it until you can't anymore. And that is frightening. That idea of a guy just hammering his head against, a solid oak beam that probably, for all we know, has a steel core because it's actually just hiding a load-bearing beam,
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, so that was that. And then we cut to Malcolm and Jessica having a conversation about how best to deal with Kilgrave.
Yeah.
And there was a great line in that, which I liked, which was, Malcolm saying, I know his powers aren't magic, and of course he says, how do you know it's not magic? And he says, the same way I know there's no such thing as elves. And of course, when did this come out? I don't think this came. I think this came out in 2015. So actually, I think Thor: The Dark World had already come out, and the Earth had already been invaded by dark elves, but over in London. So it's like, yeah, there is magic, there are elves, but it's all, oh boy, yeah. But of course, they do know that it is not. They do know that it is not. They do know that there is a mechanism, and I think that for what it's worth, that Malcolm's right. If we can figure out the mechanism, maybe we can figure out how it works. And of course, they both already know a lot of the mechanism. They know how long he can be you can be under his control, and what he has to do to get you under his control. So
can you cover that for me right quick? What do we know so far about what he needs to assert his control?
I believe he has to re-up his control in person within, I think it's, I'm trying to remember, because Hope Schlottman makes a point of it about how long she'd been waiting. Because she's almost free by the time she kills her parents. So I think it's like if he doesn't reintegrate you within 10 hours, you actually go free.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
but is there further clarity as to the mechanism by which he takes control in the first place? Like, do you have to hear him, or is there? We don't know anything in that respect just yet.
Well,
right?
I mean, in the comic books, it is a pheromonal response.
Okay, right.
So in the comic books, it's that. They haven't revealed it yet, but they are going to reveal exactly how it works in this universe.
Oh, okay.
And it does work along similar lines. It's not exactly a pheromonal response. It's a little more pseudoscientific. It's a little more what's the word I'm looking for?
Roughly believable.
Yeah, we can go along with that. It's what's interesting. There's this great and I think it's something that they wanted to address here. There was this, if you ever, one of my favorite role playing games is Vampire the Masquerade. And they do have a Hunter's Edition. And the Hunter's Edition is all these guys who hunt vampires. So you play a hunter and then you go out and attack vampires. And one of the groups of hunters they have is this biker gang, out in California called the Youngbloods, or something along those lines. And the idea is that, they were once this gang who were all bonded to, this elder vampire. And of course, when you're bonded to them, when you become a what they call a ghoul, you basically love them. You love them with all your heart and all your being. The problem was that because they were a biker gang, there were a bunch of sociopaths, and love had no meaning. And I think that's one of the things they wanted to sort of adapt in this, which is the fact that if it was purely pheromonal, if you simply loved and wanted to do whatever Kilgrave said, it would have no effect on a sociopath. I mean, a sociopath might go along until a sociopath just decided to kill you too, because sociopaths will kill you even if they love you because they don't actually have the ability to feel love. So, just a fun little bit of trivia for you there. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. What they actually do come up with, which we'll see, I think, in the next couple of episodes, because we do get the hint at what it is here, which if you were a fan of, if you've already watched the Cage Cast, you know what it is Jessica dug up out of that ground.
It's can we say it, or?
Well, I mean, if we want to, sure. I mean, if you're loyal listeners, you've already watched the Cage Cast.
Yeah, I imagine. So I mean, it's the doctor's files, right?
Well, it is Reva's files, and that was what I said, and I said this during the Cage Cast, is that what's on that file wasn't just Luke Cage's information.
Right. It's all the creations.
Exactly, because Reva, who is played by a different actress here, which I will never quite
forgive them for.
Well, I won't say forgive them for. Wait, actually, no. Actually, it is the same actress now. What is going on here? Because they actually have her as Reva Connors in the 3 episodes of Luke Cage. Man, did I just slip into another Mandela universe? That happens to me all the time. I don't know why it happens, but yeah. So she was in apparently both. So yeah, okay. Yeah,
All
so
right,
it's the same actress, Parisa Fitz Henley. So okay. Yeah, so in the universe I'm originally from, they actually did recast the role, but here in this universe, okay, it's the same actress. Oh, dang you, Mandela effect. It's that porous universe we live in. We're all just slipping through all the time. It's never our brains that are wrong.
But it's thinnies everywhere.
Yes, exactly. Okay. No, I mean, I don't know if you ever actually looked it up. You might have just been taking my word for it. But I remember looking at the IMDb before and saying, oh, they recast that role.
Yeah, I certainly just took your word for it.
Yeah, and I know I was on the... You know what it is maybe she was Parisia Fitz, and then the other one she's Parisia Henley, and now she's being Fitz Henley, and so it got updated. And we're going to say that was the explanation. I just saw two different actresses' names and didn't really put two and two together, so... We're going to say that's why it was, and we haven't fallen through a universe, because that's how you maintain your sanity.
Right.
Because if you don't do that, you're going to lose your sanity and become, a conspiracy nut, like Jack McGee. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sad news for the Gamma cast. You know what I realized today?
What?
Hulu does not have all the episodes. I mean, I knew they didn't have, the next season, but they, are missing major episodes. Yeah, because I noticed that the episode we're on is the next one is the 21st, which we're going to do with which I'm going to do with 80s Music Girl again, and but Hulu says it's the 18th or the 19th episode.
Yeah, I remember there being some confusion when you and I were talking about it earlier about it too.
Yeah, and what it is that they dropped the slam. And one other episode, and then the final episode of the third season they have is actually the sixth episode of the fourth season, and they don't give us a fourth season.
What?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to deal with stuff here. I mean, I don't know what we're gonna do. I already wrote a letter to Netflix asking them to bring it back, but we'll see what they do. I'll write a nasty letter to Hulu, but we're gonna have to sort it out. Just letting you know, Mozz. Yeah, that's frustrating for me. I really like the Hulk. Anyway, by the way, right now we're talking about Mozz and I's other podcast, the Gamma Cast, on the 80s Reboot Overdrive. Please feel free to stop by and listen to that whenever you'd like. If you like what we do here, you're going to like it there too. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was pausing so you could say your thing again.
Oh, no. I thought it was cutting out for a second now.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. You got to do that cross-promotion, Mozz. You got to do that cross-promotion. By the way, Phil really wants to do a Star Trek episode with you.
That would be awesome.
Yes. Anyway, okay. So getting back to the plot as we have it. So actually, we really have gotten very little into the plot. Jessica basically tells Malcolm he should go and work with the group if he wants to do all this touchy-feeling, find out about Kilgrave stuff. And then what happens? Oh, then of course Luke Cage shows up.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Malcolm gets all defensive.
Oh yeah, he's gonna take
so
out.
Adorable.
It is. Because here's the thing. Even if we didn't know that was Luke Cage, Mike Coulter is still six times the size of Eka Darville. I mean, it's not like they were two big guys saying, "Hey,
right.
don't you mess with this lady." He said, "I ain't gonna mess with that lady. You messing with that lady?" No, it was like, it was Eka Darville versus Mike Coulter, and it was. But I think that's why folks loved it. And so Luke says, "Look, I need to find this person, and you're a detective. I want to hire you." And she says, she's going to check him out. But then she, of course, gets the call about Hope, because as we saw at the end of last episode, Hope got a pretty severe beatdown from Sissy.
Yeah. Sissy Hernandez?
I want to say Garcia.
Right. Garcia.
Yeah. Sissy Garcia. Yeah, Sissy Garcia as played by Charlie Parker. Charlie E. Parker. Charlie. Me and her have the same first name, except mine is Charlie, and hers is Charlie. But she plays Sissy Garcia, and Hogarth goes to find out what's going on, and finds out that she got a beat down, and of course, Jessica thinks that, maybe it's because, she wasn't paying protection or something, or someone just decided to mess with her. And she goes down to speak with Sissy, and she puts a little bit of hurt on Sissy. But
just a little.
Yeah, just enough. Just enough to, as her say. Yeah, well, make her worry about whether or not she's going to be able
worthwhile.
to. I was going to, because they do that little joke there about, don't mess with my digits. I got ladies to satisfy. I love that. That's like, I love the swagger. It's great. And what it is Hope had asked her to beat her up. And we get to what is, I think, inarguably one of the most powerful scenes in this series, which is Erin Moriarty, Hope Schwartzman. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Mozz.
Oh, where are you talking about where she tells her that she's pregnant?
Yeah, well, where she tells her that basically, she can feel it growing inside of her, and every minute that it's inside of her, she feels herself being raped again. She feels her parents being shot again. She feels the horror of it. And I don't know, for me, it's like the most, like, punch in the gut kind of moment.
Yeah, so clearly he does have sex with them.
Well, yeah. Well, he did, yes. This is the TV version. What we were talking about last episode, for those who are just tuning in, last episode I was mentioning that for Kilgrave in the comic books, it was a point they made that he very rarely had sex. And actually, I will say that it was a very rare thing he had sex. So there were people he had sex with, because that's how we get Purple Girl and several other Purple children who have showed up before. But generally speaking, in the Jessica Jones, in the Alias series, which was the original Jessica Jones series, it is Bendis makes a point that Jessica doesn't have sex with him because Kilgrave, it really wasn't something that interested Kilgrave. He simply wanted to humiliate her and control her. Which I think is actually one of those things that has a point within rape as well, as the idea that rape can very often be as much about control as it is about the sex. And
well, I always thought that, the reason he's so obsessed over her must be more than just a playful stroking of his ego. He must really, really be in love with her, and that's the only reason he would sort of still be interested in her, rather than, as flighty as he is, move on to something else and be in some other part of the world in Tahiti just relaxing. He's here because of her. So I think and if he hasn't had sex with her, it's probably because it's more important for him to have her want to be there with him,
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is and we're going to see more of this later, because there is a big spoiler. And it is something that if you're a careful watcher, you may already know. And I'm sure a lot of people had already, by this point in the series, had already headcanoned why he's obsessed with her.
Oh.
Because there is
I don't know any backstory or nothing.
Well, no, it's something that you've seen. There's something that you saw in the previous episodes that you're going to realize, oh, that's what that was. And oh my goodness.
Oh, I can't wait.
I didn't even realize that it happened. And for what it's worth, what happens is something that kind of goes over everybody in the story's head, except for Kilgrave, and that tells you why Kilgrave is so obsessed with her.
Oh, wow.
It's a really, really great twist that they get in a couple episodes on. Because, we're only about halfway through this series, and I'm hoping we can finish this series before Iron Fist comes up, but we're going to do our best. Yeah. I think Iron Fist is maybe 4 or 5 weeks away. We've got about 6 more episodes. Maybe we'll do a double episode here or there.
Yeah, we'll get it done. Yeah,
we'll get it done. Because we can also start Iron Fist a little slow too. Obviously.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah.
But anyway, so where were we? We were at So Hope basically says she needs to get rid of it. It's going to be too long to wait for the doctor, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm sure there's it's a New York State prison, so probably there aren't as many rules. They probably do provide abortive remedies in state prison, but yeah, I'm sure it's I'm sure
get in line.
Yeah, you know, it is yeah, exactly. Got to get in line because not for nothing there may be, you know, they do have male guards in those prisons, and so this may be issues that come up. Yeah, but they get her but they
morning after pill.
Yeah, get her a morning after pill. And meanwhile, back with Jessica and Luke. Jessica does get to Antoine's house, who is the person that Luke's trying to find.
Yeah.
And she finds out that the reason why he needs to find this person is because the sister actually knows what happened the night of his wife's death.
Yeah.
Which scares Jessica.
Yeah.
Because she knows that, of course, she killed Reva. And you know, it's this, but she still helps him out too, which I find such a fascinating thing.
Well, I think there's, like a pretty, significant thing budding between them that, like when he walked in and she says to him, "Oh, it wasn't you." Or does that come later where he comes to the door and she says, "Go away," and they have that little moment?
Yeah. I think it's a little later.
Okay.
They have a lot of moments. Yeah.
She's there because she likes him too, and obviously because she feels like she owes him.
Well, yeah. She definitely feels she owes him. And but of course he doesn't know why she says that. And because when he gives her the money, he says, "No, I'll do it for you. I owe you." And he says, "You don't owe me anything." And she doesn't say it, but she's thinking, "Oh, I owe you so much." So moving right along, they toss Antoine's place. They find out that he's a lottery nut. They leave. So Jessica does a great phone solicitor voice and basically says, "You're a winner. You won an Xbox One," which I think is a great. Honestly, what I thought was so beautiful about that is it's just a cool enough prize that you'd probably want to call on it, but it's not so extravagant of a prize that you'd know it was a scam.
Yeah.
If you said, "You just won $1 million," you'd say, "I didn't win. I don't remember entering to win $1 million." You know? And
like how long has it been since you got one of these phone calls that says, "Hey, you just won a vacation"?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We all get those. Once a day I get those. Although, I will always say I have this is my favorite story. I was driving to Burning Man. We stayed overnight at Motel 6. Mm-hmm. And I set we set the wake up call. We get the wake up call. And on the other line it says, "Hello, this is Tom Bodette. And you just won $1 million. I sit up and he goes, "No, not really. Just kidding. But I bet you're awake." Because it was a pre-recorded wake-up call at Motel 6, which I'm guessing they do not do anymore. Because I have stayed at Motel 6's since, and I do not get that as my wake-up call. But yes.
Great idea, though. Wow, whoever thought of that, man, kudos. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, until everyone said, "I was told I won $1 million. I'm gonna sue you."
Well, that part is terrible.
Yes.
But, using the wake-up call as a means for advertising, that's pretty clever.
Oh, yeah, and it certainly worked. And, and I did stay at Motel 6 several times after that. It is a nice hotel.
And remembered the guy's name, and you mentioned it on air.
Well, yes, there you go. Well, I remember Tom Bodette because he does Wait, Don't Tell Me on NPR, which I listen to all the time. And he is the spokesperson for Motel 6, so they'll leave a letdown for you. Okay, let's move it right along because we've talked a lot about a lot of things and not as much about Jessica Jones as we maybe want to. Yes. we get very little Kilgrave in this, although we do get a really great scene with Kilgrave. But I think before we get to that, we get to finding Antoine. Of course, that Antoine owes money to a loan shark, and that loan shark has asked them to find him for her, but Jessica doesn't want to turn him over. When they do find Antoine, he's running a pot operation.
Quite from the looks of it, too.
Yeah, it was quite an impressive thing he had there. It wasn't going hydroponics; he was going dirt buckets.
That's true.
Well, no, I don't know if that's better or worse. Not being a connoisseur of the product, I can't say whether earth grown or water grown makes for a better product, a cleaner product. I can imagine that earth grown products are probably going to have a lot of other undernotes and undertones, whereas hydroponically grown products probably have a much cleaner finish.
Well, I think really what it comes down to is when you grow it hydroponically, you're forcing the plant to grow at rates it's not used to. So you get a different kind of product. But when it's grown in the ground, it's allowed to mature in its own time. So you get a different kind of product.
Yes.
Both are wonderful, but
I'm sure it's like beer and wine and whiskey. There really aren't bad versions of it. There's just ones you probably like better than others. But anyway, but he is doing his artisanal earth-grown marijuana. He's got his operation going, and this is why he's kind of trying to avoid the loan shark because, of course, he hasn't gotten his first crop in. Once he gets his first crop in, he's going to be able to make the money back. Yeah, because that always works out. But basically, Jessica tells him, look, I'm not going to give him over to you. You take his pot, and you call it a day. But the loan shark doesn't want to play that, even though he knows that Luke Cage has already beat up his guys.
Yeah, but it's like, again, to him, it's about his image in the street. He can't let this punk, be walking after people knows he didn't pay,
Yeah, but you know what? How well did that work out for Cottonmouth? Yeah. Let's be honest here. It's everybody with an axe to grind. Because, first off, in saying you can take all of his pot, it makes the statement, look, here's a very valuable operation. It's valuable. You take it over from him. You get your money back. You save your face. Because if anyone says he didn't pay you back in money, you can say, well, he paid me back in drugs.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure maybe.
But the other thing is, like, you saw the kind of guy he was. He was like your steroid juice head, something to prove kind of guy. So those guys always think they can beat up a UFC fighter.
Oh yeah, so yeah.
I can imagine. That I could take him.
I just want to see if they give us what his name was. I just want to see if his name was Marco. No, it doesn't look like his name was Marco. Because he did look a bit like, because he also was wearing the leather jacket. He looked a little bit like Man Mountain Marco, who is he's a Spider-Man villain. And he's basically, up until recently, although they just gave him a power upgrade, so he's like now kind of in that Luke Cage level. But prior to that, he was always kind of, he was basically a guy who would get punched by Spider-Man a lot. And he was basically this guy who was like superhuman, but like still human. He like had the superhuman steroids, but he just was never at that level of superhuman people. So, yeah, that's how it plays sometimes. Anyway, so this guy gets pretty well beaten up, and his men do. Yeah. And, one of the things I felt...
Jessica opts to leave while he's still fighting three guys.
Well, yeah, because, you know what, and there was a great little look back on each other, which was like, which communicates a lot, which is like, he's saying, I don't want to go full superhuman on these guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to reveal this much about myself right now because it's not going to be conducive for me. And she's like, yeah, but if we don't, this Antoine's going to die or at least get horribly beaten up. And the person that you need to get this information from, because at this point he has told her that basically this is the person who has the information on what really happened that night.
It's a pretty weak argument, but in the heat of the moment, you can play it off, I guess.
Yeah, but anyway, so they agree to essentially, you know, well, I mean, they don't really agree, but yeah, so basically she takes him out the back way, and Luke then just, you know, goes full on superhuman, breaks a guy's legs, hits another guy with a pallet, pulls the guy's arm off of him, you know, and basically beats the holy heck out of him. Now, truth be told, I was kind of thinking it might have been better if Jessica had come in and beat everybody up, because, of course, then they're never going to say what happened. You know?
Yeah.
But, you know, they kind of already did that joke earlier in the series, so they maybe didn't want to go do it again. But anyway, they take Antoine to his sister's house. She gives him the file, and Jessica is afraid that it says, you know, that Riva was killed by a punch to the chest, not by being hit by the bus.
That was such an intense scene.
Oh, yeah. Because,
I mean, you're like, because at first when he finds the file and he's looking at it and she doesn't know what's in there, she immediately thinks the jig is up, and she's starting to, you know, build her case for how I explain this to him in her head, and she starts saying, and then when she realizes that it didn't point to her, immediately she goes back on that being honest part and says, okay, maybe I bought myself a little bit more time. But you're thinking, to what end, you know? And then here, where somebody else's life is on the line, she has to go up and say, okay, it was me. And man, that was intense.
Oh yeah, it was. And of course what happens, he goes to find the bus driver, because essentially what happened was the bus driver's brother-in-law was the guy who handled the investigation, and he basically made the investigation go away. And it turned out the guy had like blown, you know, however much at that time. And, you know, but he was still driving the same bus on the same route because they made it go away. And Luke goes and confronts the guy. And basically the guy makes the point that, you know, I haven't had a drink in all this time since. That was the most horrible thing in my life. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, and you almost imagine the guy would be like okay with Luke killing him there for a minute.
Yes. Absolutely. I got that same sense. It was like he was ready to be punished for it, but he hopes he made his amends, but he knows what he deserved too. That was really powerful.
Yeah, and then of course, Jessica comes and admits the truth to him, and does say, you know, Kilgrave made me do it, da 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 da, and then Luke, you know, punches the bus and walks away.
Yeah, and like that moment where like he throws her up against the thing, and you look at him, she has that same look on her face, like I deserve this, you know, do it. It's like this whole time, this drinking and all this, you know, the way she acts, it's just been self-destructive. But you know, why prolong it? You know, let's get it over with. Give me what I deserve. It was so. And then when he rears his arm back and he's going to punch her, she doesn't move her head to get out of the way. She's waiting to take it. And, you know, she's strong, but she's not bulletproof. You know what I mean? So she gets cut. So that would have probably killed her.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, oh, my God. It's like, she's such an incredible actress, too. Yeah. That was such a...
Kristen Ritter is fantastic in this. And I guess for what we can certainly say from this at the end of the day is Luke Cage isn't a murderer.
Yeah.
You know, and he wouldn't, you know, he's not going to murder Jessica Jones in this scene. He's not going to murder. He probably wouldn't have murdered the bus driver. He just, you know, he just wanted to let his rage out in whatever method he could. And, you know, I mean, it was really a fantastic scene there, fantastic bit. Luke walks away. Jessica's left. She basically tells him that she, you know, pulled the flash drive that we saw in Luke Cage out of the ground. And then we cut to a nice suburban house in New Jersey.
I think it's worth mentioning the way that scene ends too. It's like, because earlier, you know, she found comfort in his arms where he comes in and tells her, you know, you're all these things, but you're not a piece of shit. And it's like in that moment, for all the facade she puts on, in that moment, she allowed herself to be vulnerable and say something truthful about what she was feeling. And it was a really good scene for the two of them. And then here he ends it by saying, I guess I was wrong. You are a piece of shit. I was like, whoa, man.
Oh, yeah.
God, that was heavy.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a heavy scene, man.
Yeah.
And of course, and it is such a complex thing with the whole Kilgrave angle because, she blames herself in the same way that Malcolm was saying earlier, did he really make me a junkie, or was it always who I was and he just gave me the excuse?
And now, despite what I want or not, it is a part of me. I am that now.
Exactly. And she is a killer now, no matter what the reason why she is a killer. And for what it's worth, we knew she was kind of a train wreck before this too. So it's, it feeds into it in a very strong and powerful way. Okay. Anyway, so our final scene is a scene with Kilgrave when he goes to a nice suburban home in New Jersey, knocks on the door. Nice Asian gentleman answers, and he goes, "Yeah, hello." And he's like, "Yes, I want to buy your house." And he's like, "Not for sale." And it's like, "Houses in this area are valued at about $600,000. Here's $1.2 million."
Well, I mean, what I loved about this scene was that he's about to immediately do his mind control thing. You're going, and he stops himself. He just says, "Let me try to do it, and the honest way, or the real way," and just makes his case, and he's able to accomplish it without using his powers, and he's so proud of himself.
Well, yeah, and and he says, "Here's all the paperwork," and he says, "Well, I'm gonna have to let a lawyer look," and he says, "No, of course, I just need, I think he says, I just need you out by, in 48 hours or something like that."
I love it. He goes, "I'm just used to people doing what I tell them to do." And he goes, "That must get boring." He goes, "You have no idea."
Well, yes, exactly. Because
that was so funny.
Yeah, it's a great scene. And, honestly, David Tennant is so fantastic in this. And I think, he is really, Marvel does make good villains. I don't care what anyone says. And David Tennant's Purple Man in Kilgrave is so intense. I do hope he comes back. I
think my favorite scene with him in this episode by far is when he's in the coffee shop and just yells, "Everybody quiet!" Yeah. And they have to do it. Oh, what an amazing power.
Well, you know what I loved about that is everyone sort of looks at him in the same way that if someone shouted "everyone quiet" in a coffee shop regularly, everyone would sort of look at them, and everyone would get quiet. And then you sort of see everyone go back to things and realize that everyone is being quiet. And you can see on some of the extras where they're like, "I want to say something, but I got to be quiet," It was really a fantastic bit there. And
I would love to see, Larry David with this power.
Oh, I don't want to see that at all. It's sort of like, it's honestly, I think, in our modern era, there's a lot of people, if you're doing a rewatch of this, where you're looking at this and you're thinking, man, if I had this power, if I could go to Washington or any place else that, of seats of power, what I might do. And you realize sometimes maybe as much as you might want that doesn't make it right. And I think that's the truth of it, which I think we'll get to in a little bit, is that no matter how positively you could use this power, the power by its nature is a destructive power. And it destroys human beings. And that's, there has to be something better to it than that. That's my take on it. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so he buys the house, and then as he's walking through his house, after he does use his power to make the guy shut up and leave.
Right. Which is, that was good. He's finally had enough. I said, okay, I got what I wanted. Get out.
Yeah, just leave. They said, okay. And for what it's worth, man, and that's one of those moments where that poor guy probably never gave it much of a second thought because, he was clearly being awkward, and it's like, the guy did just give him $1.2 million. Yeah, let me just go. So he does leave, and we get him walking to the house, and we see him come to where everybody's heights are, and you see him peel back the wallpaper, and you see Jessica age 11, Jessica age 12, Jessica age 14, and then we pull out, and we see Higgins and Birch, which, if you remember in the earlier episodes, they make a point that, when he's saying, she says she has to, that the way she focuses herself when she's having a panic attack is to recite the streets in which she grew up. And there's Higgins and Birch, and that's how we end this episode. I'm sorry?
Does she actually ever mention those streets?
Yeah, those are always the first two she mentions. Because she starts out with the street she grew up on, which I believe was Higgins, and then Birch was the nearest cross street, and then she'd go out to the cross street to Birch, and yeah. So yeah, I mean, this was established prior to this, so
Gotcha.
yeah. Anyway, any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
Oh, I thought it was one of the best episodes of any of the Marvel shows I've seen in a while. I loved this episode.
Yeah, I know. This is, you know what? There's a reason Jessica Jones really got the critical acclaim it did. It is a very well-written show. It is a very powerful show, and I think everyone... I mean, there's always going to be people who are going to complain, because there's always going to be people who complain. I was reading an article today, I think Brie Larson, who's playing Captain Marvel, and she was just in an interview talking about, yeah, every day I get tweeted at by people who say, oh, you better keep your hair long. Oh, you better have a mohawk. Oh, you better wear the helmet. You better not wear that stupid helmet, you know? You know, and of course the actress has no real control over the look of the character. That's something that the director is going to decide on. You know, but people are going to be disappointed no matter what you do in a comic book movie, because, and this is what I'll always say about comic book adaptations is, if they follow the comic book exactly, then you know exactly what's going to happen at every moment, and you will not be surprised, and you'll say, oh, it was okay, but it was so boring. And if they change stuff so that you're like, oh, that character's evil now, you know, then suddenly you're like, oh, well, they changed everything, and now I'm mad because I'm a whiny little nerd. But anyway, Mozz, if people would like to talk to you about what they hate about this show or what they loved, how can they find you?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook at Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
Very good. And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. There's also a Facebook page associated with that, as well as other places. And, of course, you can always follow me on the Twitters in that newfangled way that all the kids are doing, like our president, Donald J. Trump, always on the Twitters. I don't follow him, but maybe he follows me. I don't know. At Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsscr. Look for the 2 E's right there in the middle for quality. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my loyal listeners, our loyal listeners, thank you for joining us for the AKA JonesCast. Please come and be our friends again. Good night.